All right. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. I already know that the audio is way too loud. As always, firstly, hello, my friends. Welcome to Simon's Pro Wrestling Show. Going to explain the get up in a minute. But I was all ready to go. Everything was working. I went away for 5 minutes to sort some other stuff out. And then I come back. Microphone doesn't work. Camera doesn't work. Nothing works. So hopefully this is working. I don't know if it's going to work. My internet was also a disaster. But here is the deal. We haven't done a live stream like this for a long ass time because there was a problem with live streaming and on-demand views, right, on YouTube. So I had to stop it, but I've got it on good authority that everything now should be okay. So you can't see it, obviously. I haven't turned this light on. Hang on. There we go. The light's on. That's better. So over here right now, where you can't see, is I am building like a proper little podcast YouTube setup, so when we do stream these, it will look nice, it will have a good vibe, and we can have some proper podcast fun. It means if there's sort of smaller podcasts we want to do, I can just pop over there. Don't have to worry about all this green screen nonsense. But for now, that's just what we're going to do, and we're going to get back into it. So bear with me. It's a work in progress and everything like that. My internet also sucks, but that's not something we need to talk about today. And we are going to get, it's the wrestling show, right? If you go to your podcast app of choice now and you type in Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show, you will find it. You subscribe, you can get the audio feed and do everything like that. And as always, some people are saying turn my mic up. My mic should be pretty loud, but I can turn it up. I mean, according to my back end, it's already super duper loud, but I will turn it up because I love you. But if I'm now ruining your ears, you can blame it. Someone's saying there's no sound in the right speaker. There ain't no way I can fix that right now. We're just going to have to deal with it because I'm pretty sure if my microphone has already gone out once. I mean, I'll double check it now. No, it should be fine. There's no reason why it should only be coming in one speaker. So that's only one person saying that. So someone else will have to say that before I can do it. Anyway, here is the deal. Someone else is saying turn it up. All right, I'll turn it up. There we go. But I'm not going any louder than that. Because I'm going to break someone. As you know, if we've done live streams before, if you absolutely 100% want to get a question answered, you want to get something to me, just throw a super chat in the chat, but we'll still get to as many as we can. And we've got some questions for the end of the show. But yeah, if you watched Monday Night Raw last night, and I'm presuming you did, and if you didn't, you don't want spoilers, while you're watching a wrestling video on YouTube. That's absolutely ridiculous. All of a sudden, we have now moved into this area where we can start discussing, is it going to be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania 39? Now, I'm a massive nerd. I'm a geek. Wrestling could not throw up more over me if we tried. But not once did this ever enter my head. It never entered my skull. I thought we're going to do whatever we're going to do in Montreal, and then we'll do whatever we're going to do at WrestleMania. But I totally believed it was going to be one match here, one match there, and it still could be. But I never entertained the idea of a triple threat, mostly because WWE rarely does that. I mean, they do it here and there, but rarely. But now, given this little incident that we did have on Raw, where you had your top babyface, Cody Rhodes, that's what he is, taking on the pseudo top babyface, Sami Zayn, which you can't argue because I've seen the SmackDown ratings. If Sami Zayn's on screen, he's become like Poochie in The Simpsons. Everybody starts asking, well, wait a minute, where's Sami Zayn? Sami Zayn needs to be there right now. Amazing. We've got some super chats. Let's get to them straight away. Otherwise, I know what happens. You lose them. And we start with my man, Lamel, KH2. Always a good supporter of the channel, even though we haven't done this in ages. So it's good to see you, my friend. He says, hey, we back. We are back. I hope they could split the belts. Cody's stories was about the black belt. Sami being the one to take the Universal would have been an amazing story. And hopefully they can still find a way to do it. Hashtag Oscar up. Do you know what? I've let myself down. I should have given Oscar up to Oscar today on Ups and Downs. Make sure you watch Ups and Downs after this too. Make sure you just get as much Simon Miller in your life as possible. Yeah, the rumor has been, and again, with rumors and speculation, always take it that way. We don't know what's true and what's not true, and we're never going to know. We don't work there. But apparently, the plan was that we're going to do Roman Reigns versus The Rock for the Universal title. And before then, we would have just introduced a brand new title, and it was going to be Cody versus Seth, makes sense, versus Drew McIntyre. So it would have been a three-way. So, that kind of opens the doors there. But we're not doing that. But I do think, no matter what happens with Cody Rhodes, do I want Raw and SmackDown to have separate titles? Actually, I don't. But I think we're going to have to because we've seen what's happened over the last 100 and million days or whatever it's been. Shout out to Kane Finneck as well, who became a new channel member. You can do that too. Another great way to support should you wish. And my man Spaz Phoenix, who has also been a very long supporter of the channel, which I appreciate, in the super chat says, hey Simon, if a wrestling school called you up and said, come do a chat with our students about whatever aspect of wrestling you think is your strong suit, what would you talk about? Well, I actually did this the other day for Battle Club Pro in New York. I'll make sure I share that match soon as well. And they did indeed want me to do a seminar. We did it on social media and online presence, because I guess that is something that I know about. So I don't know whether it was worth it anyone or not, but I know a few people came in to have the chat and listen to me, which I massively appreciated. And hopefully I was able to help them with their wrestling careers, because like all good wrestlers, you want to try and give back to wrestling, because wrestling, wrestling is very nice to you when it goes well. So it's good to give back. But yeah, so, we did this amazing, if you haven't seen Raw, this amazing back and forth promo between Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn, which is essentially was, you're the man, no, you're the man, no, you're the man, no, you're the man, as they kept discussing, well, maybe it could be Cody Rhodes versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, which is something that Cody Rhodes has hinted about a while back. So, if you're going to put a gun to my head right now, I'd be like, calm down. I'm happy to talk about wrestling for a small fee. You know how it works. But I don't think they're going to do this. I do think that Sami Zayn loses in Montreal, mostly because that's just the way the story has to go, right? It just is, because Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso are apparently allowed in Canada. So for all the people that keep tweeting me going, rah, 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 they're not allowed in there. Apparently they are allowed in there. So what I think has to happen is Jey Uso, and maybe Jimmy Uso does something as well, rejoin the bloodline, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, or they're happy or they're not happy, or they're just under the duress of Roman Reigns, to the point that, yeah, they have no choice but to screw over Sami Zayn. Everybody's heart breaks. We can't believe it. Now, Sami Zayn hasn't technically lost, don't forget, because he lost again by being screwed over, which, of course, eventually leads to Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. And I'm still not 100% sure that Cody's going to win that. Just saying. The Rock was never meant to win that match. Do not forget that. The Rock was never meant to win that match. So, I don't think it's a lock that Cody wins it as well. I'm just saying. Maybe I'm being too much of a negative Nancy. But, if you, once again, you put this gun to my head, I'm holding my hands up. I'm not 100% sure. Can you imagine the backlash? Can you imagine? Because the best way to tell the narrative is someone now needs to take revenge for Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will come together as a tag team. I believe that Kevin Owens will come out to save Sami Zayn from the Uso beatdown. So you can do that tag team match as well, which is also why I think it's a great idea, because then you get two matches out of one angle, right? So we can do I know everyone says this, but it's true. So we can do Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn winning the titles on the Usos, who have also held it since 1776. And we can then do Roman Reigns versus Cody. Now, Roman should lose. Do I think he's going to lose? I'm not 100% sure. I wouldn't bet on it. Is that even a bad thing? I don't know. Maybe it's better to do Roman versus Cody round 2 at SummerSlam and then Cody wins. It's up for debate. You can absolutely have a chat about that and see how you feel. My man Kane is back as well. Kane, appreciate you. And he weighs in on this. Please do weigh in if you want to. Hey, Simon, if it does end up as Sami, Cody, and Roman at WrestleMania, could it end with Cody and Sami pinning Roman, and that's how we split the belt? I mean, it's a great idea, and it makes sense. There's no way two people are pinning Roman Reigns. I would imagine Roman Reigns has a lot of say in his storylines, and even he would be like, no, that's not happening. And maybe it shouldn't. Maybe it makes much more sense to take all the power, all the glory, all the magic that we have got from Cody Rhodes and put it on one guy. That's probably the best way to do it. Sometimes it's the simplest way. But the fact we're having this conversation, do you see how good this story is? And while the fact that we've invested time over the last year, that's what you can do when you can invest time. You can play with the parameters. And Eric Bischoff actually said it very well the other day. He said, when this story does come to its natural conclusion, WWE needs to sit around and say to themselves, well, what do we do to do it again? And we should do it again. It should always be one big long-term story, because it's helped ratings, it's helped live gates, it's helped everything. And it's helping the actual wrestlers themselves, which is the most important thing. Danny DeVito says, let's hope it's the real Danny DeVito. Do you think if they do the WrestleMania triple threat, I like this, more opinions, with Cody and Sami and Roman, who would go over? Okay, I haven't actually answered that, have I? Who would win the triple threat match? I mean, you could argue that Cody pins Sami, and then Cody wins the belts and Roman doesn't lose them, but then you're probably going to turn Cody heel, right? Because no one's going to like that. I don't know. It's a great question if you do that. That's why I probably think you have to stick to one-on-one. Even if Roman Reigns does win, at least it's distinctive. And if Cody wins, at least it's distinctive. If you have a three-way, although I suppose you could carry that on to Backlash or whatever the next pay-per-view is. I don't know, man. I don't know. We're entering funny territory, but I like this. Any single pay-per-view, premium live event, should always have you guessing and speculating and being like, well, which way are we going to go? What are we going to do here? Although sometimes it's good to know, because usually the obvious answer is the best storyline. But this is we're going to know more after Saturday. If Sami Zayn loses by hook or by crook or by screw job or by whatever, then I think we're going one-on-one. I don't think he'll be inserted into the main event, although it's happened before. Daniel Bryan says hello. This is massively different. This is not a Bryan Danielson situation because people love Cody. And one of the things that they didn't like is that nobody was into Batista and Randy Orton at the time. It just happens. Shout out to Venjay in the super chat who also says, hey, Simon. Oh, I've lost it. Thanks, YouTube. I personally believe if they are going to split the titles, it should be after Cody or Sami wins them, as I feel Roman lose twice lessens the impact of Roman finally losing. Yes, I agree too. I think now that we've got to this juncture, Roman loses both belts to one person, and then you can do whatever you want. Like, Cody doesn't need to hold the belt for a year. Sami, if he did win it, doesn't need to hold the belt for a year. We've done that now. And I don't think you just want to keep repeating it. I'm not asking for hotshot title changes. But now that we have had this huge legacy run, we can go the other way and we can start playing with it. I definitely think that's the best way to do it. And I think that actually benefits the story more. But if nothing else, what a great promo, right? I actually thought Raw flew by this week. There's still a lot of drivel in there. Not that I mind it. But there's a lot of, we've got to elongate this segment and we've got to do this and we've got to do that. But you know, I certainly didn't think it dragged at any point. I thought Miz TV was surprisingly good. Sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like we needed Miz TV, but we do it anyway. But I thought that served the Seth Rollins feud. We basically confirmed that it's going to be Seth versus Logan Paul, which could be like that AJ Styles Shane McMahon match from a few years ago, where everybody watched it and was like, oh, it's really good. You could probably open WrestleMania with that. And just with the way that Seth Rollins works, I think he's the perfect opponent for Logan Paul. So I think that could be excellent. I don't know what's going to go on with The Miz and Rick Boogs. I think we're just going to keep beating The Miz, by Boogs until we get to WrestleMania. But boy, howdy, do I like Rick Boogs. And I also like the fact that the Maximum Male Models and Alpha Academy are going to do a feud. I mean, who had that on their bingo cards? Not me. I'm well up for this. Otis? Are you kidding me? And I get people tweeting me all the time. Cheap plug at Simon316. Where's my Goofy Wrestling for Life shirt? And it's too far away. But I get people tweeting me all the time, being all like, Simon, you don't take wrestling serious enough and you can't like Goofy Wrestling. Man, I take Goofy Wrestling any day of the week. It's funny. It makes me laugh. Why wouldn't I want to be entertained? Why would I want to have a good time? Of course you want that kind of stuff. And what else are the Alpha Academy doing at the moment? Nothing. And they're super entertaining. Otis is great. Marseille and Mansoir. Absolutely ridiculous. Oh, I flip and love it. So yeah, I thought it was a decent Raw all in all. The Bayley Becky Lynch feud continues. Someone made a great point the other day. Like, everyone's trying to retrofit in Lita or Trish Stratus or Damage Control. Well, again, there's rumors out there, but we don't know. But Bayley and Becky right now are one-on-one. They are one win, one loss each. You know what I mean? They're one win each. What I'm saying. So the rubber match can be at WrestleMania. Now, it is a bit weird that we did the big stipulation match on Raw. Why didn't we hold that off for WrestleMania? Well, I can't answer that question. I gave up booking back in 2006. But I would much rather that we stumbled on with it than just didn't. It is a bit funny that WWE now feels obsessed with taking a big star and every single year going, oh, they may not make it to WrestleMania. So why wouldn't they make it to WrestleMania? From a business decision, if I treat wrestling as totally real, you want to put Becky Lynch on your show because she's a draw. So you would just find a match for her. She doesn't have to earn her way there. She's Becky Lynch. So that makes me laugh. Shout out again to Spaz Phoenix, always supporting the channel, appreciate it. Absolutely shameless plug. Well, at least you're honest about it. I've expanded from just wrestling to movie trailer reviews. I've expanded from just wrestling to movie trailer reviews. 65, Scream 6, The Park, The Boogeyman, Sick, etc. Spaz Phoenix podcast on Rumble, Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. There you are. I can do you shameless plugs. I mean, I just plugged my damn t-shirt. ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller. The 2+2 = potato t-shirt went up today. I laugh at that all the time. That's what it says on it. 2+2 = potato, and there's a picture of a potato. Don't say you can't live your dreams. You can. Right, let's get back on this Sami Zayn trip. Tobias said, would Sami winning by countout or DQ be a way for the triple threat? Yeah, but I don't want any of that. I don't want any WCW shenanigans or old school, not even old school, or like 2020 WWE shenanigans. I mean, I don't mind people getting involved and doing run-ins and doing heel activities. That's fine. But I don't want... Yeah, I don't want or need count-outs or DQs. You can use the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. I don't mind that. I quite like that move. I took the mick out of it too much, so people presume that I don't. But I don't think that you want to start doing DQs and countouts right now. I think that takes away from the seriousness of the story. I'd rather Sami just got screwed over. 1, 2, 3. I can take more of that, whereas the other stuff blurs the lines. Let's not blur the lines. We've been so good with not blurring the lines. Shout out to Master Critic as well, who also became a channel member. It's amazing. People becoming channel members. What an incredible world. And we can continue on the conversation because Kane in the Super Chat says, if Sami isn't in the Cody versus Roman match, could he go on to win Money in the Bank? And maybe we get Sami cashing on Cody, and that's why Cody turns heel. Well, I wouldn't turn Cody heel for a while, and nor do I think he would want to go heel. But yes, you could absolutely do that. And that's what I'm talking about. No matter what we do at WrestleMania, let's not forget, I get it's going to be bigger at WrestleMania. Let's not forget, we have a whole year to book here. We want to make Cody a bigger star than he is. We want to capitalize on this Sami Zayn stuff. So even if we can't have Sami Zayn win in Montreal, let's come up with a plan to protect him. Jey Uso, cough, cough, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then, yeah, let's pencil him for Money in the Bank. And then he can get his... Because let's not forget, I mean, he is challenging for the Universal Championship. But there is also beef here with Roman Reigns. So if he does become Money in the Bank, you can then solely focus on the fact that now he's going after a championship, right? And that's cool. That's good. That's what we want from these things. So I probably think... I mean, look, here's my stupid fantasy booking that I think we talked about last week. Now, do I think we should do this? No. Unless we get to a point where it makes sense. I'm not talking about this year, maybe even next year leading into WrestleMania. If you want to give Sami a title... and then have Kevin Owens screw him over and go heel, and then do Sami versus Kevin Owens. Here's what I would do, right? I've just come up with this. It's awful, but it's brilliant. Sami Zayn wins Money in the Bank. By that point, we've got 2 titles. Sami Zayn gets one of those titles, whatever it may be. Kevin Owens then does something, turns on him, screws him over. Maybe he wins that title. Yeah, here we go. And then WrestleMania 40, you do Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, which is amazing given the history they have together. And Sami Zayn wins that title back from Kevin Owens. And do that in a main event on night 1. That's right, I said it. Had to be said, and I said it. So that's what I would do. I think it would be great. But I think it's a great idea with the Money in the Bank thing. Why the hell not? And shout out to Ven J, who just became a member. Wow, I really appreciate that. It's not the last thing that I was expecting. We'll answer another question as well, which is, what do you think is next for Baron Corbin? I don't know. I'm very confused. Now, look, I'll be honest with you. You can tell on ups and downs. Again, make sure you check it out on What Culture. I like Baron Corbin a lot. I think he's a utility guy. You can put him in any kind of a situation and he does well. I think that's important. With that said, the JBL thing didn't work out. What he was doing beforehand didn't work out massively, or it didn't go anywhere. The Sad Corbin stuff did. So now that he's lost it, and now, look, Cody Rhodes kicked his ass, and I appreciated that because Cody right now going into WrestleMania needs all the momentum possible. You need to sell him as a dude. We all need to believe come April 2nd, 3rd, that Cody Rhodes can beat Roman Reigns. And you do that by having him win and having him win. And as Corbin, what was the last thing Corbin said before he insulted the Rhodes family? I was the last guy to pin Roman Reigns. Well, now Cody's beating that guy. So it's just small seeds that you can plant in your brain. So, that's fine. But we need something for Baron Corbin. I don't even mind if you want to go back to Sad Corbin. That was stopped way too soon. Apparently we stopped it because Vince McMahon didn't want Baron Corbin to be a babyface. Just go with this stuff. Again, look at the bloodline. So organic. Roman Reigns was basically a face. Now he's gone mega super heel. End of level boss. But as long as there's a plan for Baron Corbin, I am all right with it because I do think he has more to offer than he's currently being given. And I think it's been so long since he's had a serious edge, not Adam Copeland, like an attitude to him. Maybe you can incorporate some stuff from his NXT character. I don't know, right? There's 1,000 things you can do. Shout out to Spaz Phoenix, who also has an idea, right? In the super chat. I appreciate the super chat. You're all being very nice to me today. Kevin Owens and Sami go for the tag team titles night 1, right? Perfect. Usos retain. Spaz, you've gone nuts. But respect all around. It depends if they screw him in Montreal. You can't do the respect angle if they screw him in Montreal. Night 1, Cody takes one of Roman's belts. Night 2, Sami versus Roman, each man with a match under their belt from the night before. Well, I like that aspect, but I don't want to split up the world titles. I just don't want to split up the world titles because I agree with what the other person said. I think it undermines this incredible run that Roman's been on since 1666. I think you need someone to take both belts. I think that's the most important thing. Let's just talk. I wasn't going to talk about it here, but we'll talk about it now anyway. I said for a different video, we'll make it this video. Does Roman Reigns lose? Think about it. Run it through your skull. I don't know if he does. Again, I use this, what we've already mentioned. The Rock was not going to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. That wasn't going to be the plan. It would have been done to take Roman to that next level. So I shrug my shoulders. I'm not 100% sure. So, the powers that be probably at one point thought that Roman could hold those titles for longer, beat Pedro Morales' record. I think he beats that in between now and SummerSlam, to go number 4. But things have changed now. The Rock isn't there. Cody's super over, super hot. So is Sami Zayn. So hopefully they're watching and hopefully they're listening. But if you are thinking to yourself, it's 100% sure that Roman Reigns is losing those championships at WrestleMania, I'm not with you. I mean, I'm always with you in spirit. We love each other. But, yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Somebody's also asking for a Barry Barricade shirt. My last pimp today because I've over-pimped. ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller. There's a link in the description if you're watching on YouTube. That they're all there. Barry Barricade's not there yet, but I promise you they're all being made. So if you keep an eye on the store, anything I've ever said that's got any kind of reaction, we're having a shirt made right now. And thank you so much to everyone that's bought one. When I go to wrestling shows and have matches and look out into the crowd and see somebody wearing a warm and fuzzy tee, so happy. Blows my brain. Appreciate the support. When I first said that, I won't say who it was, and they were only joking. They sent me a message, and they were like, Simon, you can't say that on a video. You can't. You sound ridiculous. And I was like, that is a challenge, my friend. And here we are 2 years later, and I'm proud to say that I feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. QPR forever, who I haven't chatted to for ages, in the super chat says, if Jay White goes to WWE, good, you're tying into my news here, my man. I appreciate it. Will he go straight to the main roster? And if so, will he be in the main event picture? And will there be a live ups and downs after the AEW London show? So, Jay White has lost a loser leaves Japan match, which probably means he's either going to AEW or WWE. Now, right now, we don't know who it is. We have absolutely no idea who it's going to be. I would kind of like to see him in WWE just because it's different, right? Most of that sort of super hardcore New Japan indie work could go to AEW, and I completely understand why. It's a great place to work. But if he goes to WWE, it's like, okay, well, how are they going to treat him? Like when Dragon Lee went, they got visa issues at the moment, but I want to see what kind of push he gets. Now, he is going through NXT. I don't think you put Jay White in NXT. I think you make a bunch of big video packages and you tell the WWE audience, this is a big guy. This is a former IWGP champion. You got to respect this person. And do I put him in the main event scene? Well, I do. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jay White. I think he's really smart. I think his psychology is brilliant. He is a heel, in and out or through and through. So I would put him in the main event scene. Yes, especially this is the benefit of having 2 titles. If you've got a Raw title and a SmackDown title, we need challenges and we need to get through people and we need to build stars. I would have Jay White, Cody Rhodes. There's history there, right? There is history with the Bullet Club and everything else that Cody did, etc. I would do that. And it doesn't matter if Jay White doesn't win as long as we have a plan coming out of the fact. This is what we're doing today. This is my Sesame Street theme. We have to have a plan coming out the other side. Coming out, you took us, which means bum in Yiddish. But that is what we have to have, and then everybody can benefit, which is why it doesn't matter if Sami Zayn loses the Elimination Chamber premium live event, as long as there's a plan. I'm going to keep saying plan. For everyone that said you can't hear me in one of your ears, I promise you I'll sort it for the next stream. If I try to do it now, the stream's going to go down. That's the worst thing, right? We'd rather have some sound than craziness. It's a work in progress. It's my first stream in 2 years. I'm just happy the microphone's working because it was not working when I first tried. So I don't want to play with it. I hope you understand. But I appreciate the feedback. I always do. My man Kane in the super chat says, this is how wrestling should be, where you don't know what's going to happen and we can have talks like this. I definitely think it's good that we now live in that world again, because there certainly was a time when that wasn't the case. Whereas now, yeah, we can have a chat like this, and I think it's fun and I think it's exciting. But I do like the obvious stories too. Like, what was an obvious story recently and everyone's, oh, it's really boring. Oh, Cody Rhodes winning the Rumble. I was like, no, that makes sense. And when I go see I know I use this analogy all the time. When I go see a rom-com, I don't expect the girl to look at the guy and rip his head off, right? And rip out his guts. But that's not very romantic comedy. I think they're going to kiss and fall in love. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. And that's fine. That's what I expect. So sometimes you want twists and swerves, and sometimes you just want to be fed the right kind of stuff. So then Jay says, I personally would love Cody to win the title and just actively defend the belt on TV. Simple, but I'd love to see him just put on consistent bangers. Dude, can't argue with that. That is, it's really, 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 really smart. Like, This is what I mean. You don't need to have him go on like a Roman Reigns type run. Let's go the other way. And Cody kind of feels like he ties into that, doesn't he? That kind of workhorse mentality. So you could do that. He's having a bunch of things. And maybe you get to SummerSlam and he loses it. That's not a problem. 6-month title run, as long as you tell the story and the narrative, as long as you keep him up there. Go and look how long Stone Cold Steve Austin's title runs were. He was always losing the damn thing. But it was always over and he always won it back. I did a video the other day. When The Rock won the WWF Championship, it must have been after the 99 Royal Rumble, we tried to murder Mankind with steel chairs. Halftime heat was only a week later, and The Rock lost. And did it matter? No, it didn't, because he's The Rock. We gave him a microphone, we had a plan, we had a story. Eventually he won the championship back. Ipso facto, you can absolutely do it. So, I'm very pumped for WrestleMania. I'm very pumped for this Elimination Chamber show going in on at the weekend. In fact, what we should actually do is we should go through the things. I'm going to get it up on my phone because my phone is on, not on my Wi-Fi. And I've got problems with my Wi-Fi at the moment. I don't want to talk about it. It's going to be fixed in a couple of weeks. But at the moment, I'm basically gone back to like 1988. Like dial-up nonsense, which is stupid. So let me get the what do you call it? The match card up. And we can just go through it. And there's other stuff we can talk about as well. I clicked the wrong thing, didn't I? What a moron. Yep, I've absolutely clicked the wrong. Let's try that again, shall we? Oh, I see what it's done. No, I don't care about that. I want to know about the Elimination Chamber card in 2023. I don't want to know about the Elimination Chamber and how Eric Bischoff built it. Don't kayfabe me. Internet, this is not what I want. Quick shout out to Kane as well in the super chat. Appreciate all the super chats. You're so kind to me. You make me blush. I'm also really hot, but it's blushing too. Talking about WrestleMania, all right, we'll do this first. If we get Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew for the IC title, I hope we get a Drew heel turn. If Sheamus wins, I think it's time. Kane, taking the words out of my mouth. It does sound like that's going to be the match. And if that is the match, that's what we got to do. I was kind of hoping that was going to happen already and we were just going to do like a one-on-one thing. But Gunther getting in there is great. I don't think Gunther has to lose. He can do, which is fine. I'd take anybody winning that IC belt. Gunther's held it long enough. But I absolutely, one of them should turn heel on the other. I think Drew McIntyre is more interesting because Sheamus kind of feels like he's just entered that babyface, we're actually going to cheer you levels. So yes, I'm totally with you. And I've just realized that QPR Forever, I didn't answer your other question. We will absolutely be doing ups and downs after any live event that we attend. So if we go to WrestleMania, we'll do it. Money in the Bank, SmackDown in the UK, we'll do it. And of course, the AEW show. Again, QPR, very nice super chat. You said, I, for one, hope you debut on the AEW London show. The pop would be insane and wide chants ringing out loud. I mean, that's always a flattering and very humbling thing to hear. Of course, that would be one of my dreams, but you never know what's going to happen. I'm more scared walking out, people being like, who's that guy? And then I'm absolutely screwed. If that does happen, there may not be a live ups and downs. That would be the exception, but we'll wait and see. Believe in your dreams, always believe. Before we do move on to Elimination Chamber, my man Spaz is back in the super chat again. Thank you very much. He's got a plan. Cody wins at Mania, so now Cody is a unified Universal Champion. Sami wins at Money in the Bank, so now he is the number one contender, essentially. The next night on Raw announces in advance that he wants Cody at SummerSlam to bring the Universal title back to SmackDown. See, I like this idea a lot. The problem you have is, why would anybody that has any kind of credibility say, I only want to fight for one of your belts? Now, I like the idea, and I think that's what they should do. But it's difficult. I think that an Adam Pearce would have to decree that, or a general manager figure. I don't think you can put it on the wrestler just because, why don't you want both championships? You should want both. You're the man. You're the king. You should be going after this. But I do like that idea very much. And you've totally sold me on the idea that Sami Zayn should win Money in the Bank. Then it doesn't matter what happens at Elimination Chamber. Because when you win Money in the Bank, as long as you don't screw it up, it does count as a prize. It counts as a goal. It counts as a trinket, right? And it puts the spotlight on you, and you can have a lot of fun with it. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It really, really is. There's so many ways we can go. Don't forget, Kevin Owens hasn't come back to TV. We could always make him a bigger star. Never going to get mad at that. So, it's exciting time. So, let's go through the elimination card. I do want to say now, these streams for YouTube will be exclusive to YouTube, but there will also be exclusive audio feeds, files still going up on the podcast feed. So again, Simon's Pro Wrestling Show, iTunes, Spotify, whatever it is, whatever you listen to, Acast, whatever you listen to podcasts on, my podcast will be there. So you will get extra. Well, if you feel like you need me talking about wrestling more, which you probably don't, but at least you'll get it in both of your ears. So Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. Really enjoyed their big men slapping man meet contract signing on Raw. Thought it was fun. Did what it had to do. I'm always going to buy into that stuff because I like big dudes. I like small dudes too, but big dudes are always fun. I mean, if I was going to book this, and once again I gave it up, I would do Brock Lesnar loses to Bobby Lashley because the Hurt Business gets back together. And then you probably could do an extra match at WrestleMania. Now, it kind of begs the question why you would do it at this pay-per-view premium live event when there's no need. But Brock Lesnar ain't just going to lay down and accept it. And given that we've already talked about the fact it probably is going to be Sheamus versus Drew versus Gunther, so we're not going to be doing Brock versus Gunther, maybe that is the plan. Although it does feel a little bit lackluster for WrestleMania. It feels a little bit like that. Well, we've seen it and we've done it only a few weeks ago, so why are we doing it again? But this has to be, as far as I'm concerned, the Hurt Business are coming back together. This is the time to do it. And ultimately, Bobby Lashley gets more out of winning that third match than Brock does, because Brock is Brock. So that's what I'm going to do. Again, any predictions you have, make sure you put them in the chat. But I give it to Bobby Lashley. Because I just think if you can reform the Hurt Business under the guise that Bobby Lashley just beat Brock Lesnar, who still kind of counts as a big, if not the biggest, the second biggest deal in WWE after Roman Reigns. Or, okay, I mean, yes, or you could do the angle after the match. I suppose that actually works too. There's logic there. But also you get the same outcome, though. So Brock wins, the Hurt Business beats him up. Brock is still going to want another match. Or at least Bobby would do. And the only time to do that, as far as I'm concerned, is WrestleMania. I don't know. But I'm still going to go with Bobby Lashley because I've said it now. And that's just the way. Edge and Beth Phoenix versus the Judgment Day. I mean, Edge and Beth Phoenix are going to win that one. I would rather it was Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. Because I think the Judgment Day are on a tear right now. But when we move forward to WrestleMania, I totally believe that it's going to be, we know it's going to be Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. Rhea Ripley got to win that. So she can lose here, and it's fine. Doesn't matter. She's about to become the SmackDown Women's Champion. Also, probably means that we could be breaking up the Judgment Day or have their presence over two different shows. Again, different video for a different day. But the other rumor is that at the Royal Rumble, it was meant to be Finn Balor versus Edge in a steel cage. Edge wasn't able to do it because he was making movies or making a TV show. Really cool. Adam Copeland smashing it. I think Finn Balor wins that match over 2 nights of WrestleMania. It's not going to be a main event. You can have your babyface lose. I don't know what Beth Phoenix is going to do because she can't do anything with Rhea Ripley. Maybe she's just not at WrestleMania. I don't know. But then, so if Edge and Beth Phoenix win here, Rhea Ripley gets her steam back a month later, 2 months later, and so does Finn Balor by beating Edge. I don't think Edge needs that win. Now, you can do it, of course, and it's fine. But I think it depends what we're doing with the Judgment Day. I'm a bit worried we're going to break them up if we do have people going to different shows. But I would like Dominic Mysterio somehow to get involved. Edge is focused on him and Finn Balor wins. I think that'd be absolutely tremendous. So I'm this week I'm going Edge and Beth Phoenix wins. It makes sense too. Then they're finally done, quote unquote, with the Judgment Day, apart from the Edge and Finn Balor stuff, and we can move on. We can move on to that. We have the Elimination Chamber match to decide who will be taking on Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 39. Oscar versus Liv Morgan versus Nikki Cross versus Raquel versus Natalya versus Carmella. I love the fact that Oscar on Raw beat everybody up. Because why would she want to team with these people anyway? She's in the chamber with them. So I really, 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 really hope Oscar does the same here. I hope she starts, and I hope she eliminates somebody straight away. And I like everybody else in this match, but sometimes there has to be sacrifices, people. That's how the world works. So I'm going to pick one. You can't do it to Natalya. It will go bad. I like Nikki Cross, and I like the fact we're going back to the sanity stuff. But you start with Oscar versus Nikki Cross. Oscar just beats her. Puts that Rings of Saturn on or whatever that she's done. Then she's waiting for the next person. And the next person is Liv Morgan. And she just beats her. And then then Carmella gets in. And she just beats her. This Elimination Chamber should go 10 minutes. But it has to go longer than that. 15, 20 minutes. No, too long. 12. It doesn't even work when it comes to maths. But then Carmella gets in there. She's gone. Then Raquel Rodriguez gets in there. Obviously, she's a little bit more of a dominant opponent because she's bigger and WWE wants to push her. But eventually, she falls too when Natalya gets in there. The Canadian hero, Montreal's own, right? And then we do exactly what we did with Daniel Bryan and Santina Marella. There's a glimmer of hope. Maybe she gets the sharpshooter, but then Oscar boots her in the head, Rings of Saturn, and she just wins. And everyone's like, well, Bianca Belair is screwed. And I would potentially take the belt off Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. But also, as I stare off into the distance, I'm not so sure about that. Because Bianca Belair is brilliant, and she should hold the belt as long as Roman reigns. But Oscar is winning that match. And damn right. And also we have the ones for the United States Championship too, which is Austin Theory versus Seth frickin' Rollins, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, and Montez Ford. Not looking good for Bronson Reed, to Johnny Gargano, given that he wasn't even on the damn show last night. So that's not great. I mean, I don't want to go away for 30 seconds if you don't want stuff spoiled. It's not a real spoiler. It's just reading into things that are out there. John Cena and Austin Theory filmed some stuff when John Cena was on the last SmackDown that he was on with the United States Championship. And that's what you want to do at WrestleMania 2. If Austin Theory comes out of this the other side with his belt after basically fluking it, that does the world for him. And he's the person that needs the most out of this. I mean, Bronson Reed can do some cool stuff and eliminate someone. That's fine. And if we get to WrestleMania, much like The Rock versus Roman Reigns, that's the equivalent of this match. John Cena shouldn't be winning there. Theory should be retaining a championship over John Cena because that does the world for Theory. Cena's going to go away for months anyway. When he comes back, nobody's going to remember, although Austin Theory should do what, Brock Lesnar and Undertaker did, talk about it all the damn time. And that's only going to benefit him. And I think it's quite clear now that Triple H wants to push him too. It wasn't a Vince McMahon thing. It's just a WWE thing. And I'm totally all right with that as well. He does have something, but we have to give him time and we have to let him evolve and develop. On too many occasions, people do just give up on wrestlers. Oh, man, I don't want to deal with this guy anymore. We don't even know what they're capable of. I can't remember now, but I'm sure the first time I saw the Ringmaster, I wasn't like, oh, that's my guy. But then we got there, right? Stone Cold Steve Austin, greatest person ever. I don't even remember Rocky Maivia's debut because it was nothing. It didn't mean anything. So, yeah, I'm absolutely going with Austin Theory there. Which, of course, brings us to the main event. Only a 5-match card. Triple H loves doing this. I think it's definitely good. Shorter shows are better shows. They just are. Less is more. Roman Reigns with the Bloodline, potentially, definitely with Paul Heyman, versus Sami Zayn for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. He's losing. And I can only figure he's losing because the Usos are going to screw him over. Hence why Roman told him to stay at home. It's a ruse. It's a swerve. It's a twist. It's horrible. It breaks your heart. You cry into your Cheerios, whatever you like to eat when you're watching B-level pay-per-views. But it doesn't feel like a B-level pay-per-view premium live event because it's absolutely fantastic. And then Kevin Owens comes out to make the save. So you get your happy ending, right? It makes you feel all warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum because you have that reuniting. And because the Usos have screwed him over, all that heat that has been accrued moves to them. It just does. And you should even play it like Jay is conflicted about this because you get even more mad at him. Like, you weren't even sure and you still did this? You're so out of the thumb of Roman Reigns, you absolute goober. That's the kind of stuff that I think that's good television. I don't think it hurts Sami Zayn. If anything, I think it's going to build more sympathy for him. And again, everyone's going to love the fact that Kevin Owens and him are back together, move to WrestleMania, you get the tag match. Cody wants revenge on Roman, and then I don't know. But I am going with Roman Reigns. You do not take those belts off him on an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view match event when we have WrestleMania 6 weeks down the road. We just don't. Kasra, not Turtle, also with a super chat, wants to talk about this. They have a plan. Here we go. Sami loses at Elimination Chamber, so they agree with me. Thank you very much. But Cody wins at WrestleMania. Cody introduces a new belt. They have a tournament over at SmackDown. Sami and Roman at the final, and Sami wins. Well, I do like that a lot, but once again, I don't think any wrestler can give up the double championship. I think it has to be a management thing, which I guess they could do there. They could announce a tournament and do it over there. I don't know. Maybe, right? There's something to that, but we got to tread carefully. Cody can't win the belt and then lose and go down to be a single champion instantly because in comparison to Roman Reigns, it's going to look a bit not difficult. That's too much. You got to make sure you're telling the casual fan, hate that term, but not the nerds like us, that Cody is just as big a deal as Roman Reigns. We've got to put him on a pedestal. And that's the great thing that WWE has done with Roman. The whole time it's like, he's a big deal, he's a big deal, he's a big deal. And now finally he's the biggest deal in wrestling. He just is. There's no two ways about it. Vivek in the super chat says, what are your thoughts on Sami and Kevin going against the Usos for the tag team championships at WrestleMania? Absolutely. That's what we should do. And that's the benefit of this angle is we can get two major matches out of it, not just one, which is why I kind of lean away from the triple threat match because more is more in this, in this occasion. The only thing I ain't betting on is whether Cody's winning at WrestleMania. I don't want to keep going over it. I'm not 100% sure. Talking about Cody as well, he actually addressed the All Out Fallout on the Ariel Helwani show the other day. Really good interview. You should check it out, should you so wish. And he mentioned he woke up to like loads and loads of messages, and he was worried that somebody had called him out in the AEW press conference. And he was very, very diplomatic about it all, as I think we should all be. You know, no bad blood towards the Elite or CM Punk. But it was really sad. And basically he said, you know, he's really proud of what they all created, and he wants it to exist, and he wants it to continue to rumble on. But when things like this happen, it does cause a negative and a detrimental effect, which it does. You can see it in the numbers. But I kind of feel exactly the same as him. I mean, he knows them. I don't know them. I don't know what they were going through. I don't know what their mental state was like. I don't know what their emotions are like now. And I suppose that it brings up the conversation of Uncle Dave Meltzer on a recent Wrestling Observer Radio said Punk is going to be good to go in 2 months. Now, he didn't say he's coming back to AEW, but he did say that he's still under contract there, so there's every chance, depending on what people want to do. Now, this is me talking as a fan, not as a human being. As a human being, I want people to be happy first and foremost. But as a fan, I probably think that they should try and work out a way to get CM Punk back. In fact, I'm doing a video for What Culture about this soon. Now, everyone has to agree, the Elite, Omega, the Bucks, Punk, Tony Khan, etc., etc. But, and you have to talk to the locker room as well. You know, there needs to be a lot of fires being put out. But for every rumor of a Chris Jericho saying, oh, I don't want Punk back, there's a Brody King liking tweets, there's a Danhausen, there's a Dax Harwood. So I do think it's kind of 50-50. But yeah, purely looking at it from an AEW Dynamite or Rampage point of view, people were interested in CM Punk. People tuned in to see CM Punk. Pay-per-view rates were better with CM Punk. And I want both companies to flourish. Like, I really, really do. I mean, I want there to be a good atmosphere as well. I don't want there to be any negativity. I want to make that very clear. But I do want companies to be in a good position. Both of them. Because competition, as we've seen, look at the Bloodline storyline. I have to imagine that may not have happened without the competition. And I do think CM Punk, as long as you can obviously keep it kosher, brings something to the table. Well, the irony being that the match I would want to see the most is Kenny Omega versus CM Punk. I said this before it even happened. That was my number one match. Can we do it now? I don't see totally why not. If we can sit everybody down in a room and sort of, you know, calmer heads can prevail. But it's not as easy as that. Like, if you work in a bank and Timmy really winds you up and Timmy likes to push your buttons, not saying anybody did this in this situation, it's just a work feud. Even when you sit down and your boss says you two need to get on, you struggle with it, right? Because we all have an ego, we all have pride, and we all want to make sure that justice has been served. But again, I don't need to worry about ratings. I don't need to worry about finances or merch sales. I'm interested in that stuff, but I don't need to worry about it. I just need to worry about good old-fashioned pro wrestling. And to me, seeing CM Punk in AEW is good old-fashioned pro wrestling. And I think there's still stories to tell, etc., etc. And my man Tom Talks Rubbish. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel as well. It says, big love. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. Would love to have you on my show. Yes, we did have that conversation whenever it was. We shall have to sort that out, Tom. I shall get back to you eventually. I'm just never home. This is the first time I've been home in weeks, which is very, very, very nice. I've got my news stories up here. I'm just trying to pick which ones to talk about. So if there is a news story you'd like me to talk about, throw it in the chat, and we can we can get to it on there. I mean, it's all kind of WrestleMania focused at the moment, or Elimination Chamber focused at the moment. Everybody's talking about that, whether it's going to be a triple threat match or not. Again, we've gone through all of that. And the other thing, I suppose, is the comments that Seth Rollins made about CM Punk recently. There was two comments. There was one which I felt was in character when he said stay away from wrestling. And there was another one which was very much Seth Rollins, I think on the Pat McAfee show, where he talked about the fact that he wasn't a massive fan of Punk's attitude and that he struggles with this because in the early days when he was Tyler Black, Ring of Honor especially, right, CM Punk helped him out a lot, which I bet he did. Or maybe down in FCW and NXT, because Punk must have jumped by that point. Well, not jumped, but, you know, moved across. But it's always interesting to see a wrestler in that kind of real-life capacity. Because it's never black and white, right? That's one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up. It's never black and white. It's never like, I like that guy, I hate this guy. There's always conflicting emotions, and there's always 1,000 things going on in somebody's head, which is why we can't ever jump to conclusions with any of this stuff, because we just don't know. And that's why I take every single news, every single piece of, every rumor with a pinch of salt. And I try and make my own opinion up on it, but I don't like to sit on the fence, but I just don't like to jump in too quickly. And I don't mind it when other people do it too. I get what the internet is, but I feel like if we all treat every single piece of news like that, then it doesn't matter. We don't get carried away. So out to my man Ying, who has a random question. I like random questions, and thank you for the super chat. If Jay White does go to WWE, what are the odds he would need a new finisher because of Bray Wyatt's sister Abigail? Well, and Cody Rhodes' Crossroads. He probably would need a new finisher. Although Bray and Cody are doing it, but they're on different shows. I don't think it matters. I think you'd probably want to establish another move that he can win matches with. But you also probably want to... I want him to do the Cody Rhodes feud. I would tell that story. It's Crossroad versus Blade Runner. That's what he calls it, right? Yeah, I think so. Is that his nickname? I always get them confused because I'm an idiot. And I don't watch as much New Japan as I would like. No, I quite like that idea. But I think you need to bring out another move that he can do, yes. Just because, well, do you? I'm arguing with myself. You decide, chat. You can tell me. And Castro is back. Appreciate it, Castro said. But stuff like this is amazing, right? I'm going to use this as a platform. Love you and your content, Simon. Love from Iran. Iran. It's like sometimes it's a Saudi Arabia show and somebody has a give me an up sign. That's nuts. So I'm going to use this as a little platform to say just thank you very much. That stuff is very, very humbling and it's very, very kind. And I really do appreciate the fact that, you enjoyed the show or the content or whatever it may be so much that you want to write all that down on a piece of card and slam it in front of a camera. So, yeah, you guys are all right. I tell you what we do. I should have written this down beforehand, but I didn't. Because the Dynamite card this week is bonkers. It's like, as always, let's just do every single great match that we can possibly do. I mean, I'm not 100% sure this one is totally up to date, but we'll go with it because they mentioned it earlier and I was like, you're kidding me. So we've got Jon Moxley and Claudio versus Rush and Preston Vance in a Texas Tornado match. Now, we've got a Ring of Honor pay-per-view coming up of WrestleMania weekend. This is probably going to lead to Rush versus Claudio for the ROH title. And if you watch what Rush did the other day with Bryan Danielson, absolutely nuts. We've also got Mark Briscoe versus Josh Woods. As I mentioned on Ups and Downs, again, make sure you check out Raw Ups and Downs when we're done here if you haven't already. Mark Briscoe can do anything he wants now and he gets an up from pure strength of character and strength of will. I don't know how the hell he's doing it. I can't even say the words, but genuinely incredible. Incredible. And let's always, keep that memory alive and all stuff like that. Britt Baker versus Toni Storm versus Ruby Soho in a three-way. I am really hoping that Ruby Soho screws over Britt Baker here. I feel like I'm the only person who likes the Saraya Toni Storm stuff. People get so mad at me. Look, they're spraying the L and all the weird things they say, meh. But the storyline is great. I love outsiders versus insiders. That will always work for me. And given that Ruby Soho came from the WWE, she absolutely should screw over Britt Baker and join up with Toni Storm. I want 1999 booking. Hangman Page versus Kip Sabian, I'm super pumped for. Because, Hangman Adam Page is just great. I'm a big fan of Kip Sabian. One, he's a really nice guy. I'm not going to get into it because that doesn't seem fair. He's a super good dude. But also, I love the fact he's come back from injury, or whatever his sabbatical was, and he's made Rampage his show. A few guys have, but he's one of them. And now he's on Dynamite fighting Hangman. Now, of course he's going to lose. But every match I see him in, he's getting better and better, and I'm so pumped about this. Again, warm and fuzzy feeling in my tum-tum. Also, we have Orange Cassidy, the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, versus Jeff Jarrett's crew. Apparently Sonjay Dutt wrestling too, which is interesting. You know that's going to be goofy wrestling for life. We've already talked about Otis, so that one's going to make me happy. And we have sit-down interviews with Wardlow and Adam Cole, and MJF's going to be there. That's a pretty damn good AEW, right? And yeah, everyone keeps asking me about the AEW London show. I don't know where it is. I have no other information that you don't have, right? If I wouldn't spoil it anyway because that's not fair. It's not my place to give those things away. But one day we will know and we can go fun. I'm just going to get some questions up that people ask me on my Twitter, a cheap plug at Simon316. At the moment, all my tweets at the moment, which is actually very nice, is I hosted a Progress show the other day. Shout out to Progress Wrestling. Make sure you check them out. And somebody proposed to someone in the middle of the ring after the interval. And this poor Helena, I think her name was. I think it was Liam and Helena. I hope I haven't got that wrong. She had no idea. And it wasn't my idea, but I was the person that kind of hosted it and put it all together. So somebody tweeted it. So that's all people are tweeting me. But it was absolutely brilliant. David K in the Super Chat, appreciate the Super Chat, thank you, has just thrown out, Keaton's back. Sorry, couldn't resist, now back to wrestling. All I'll say is this. You're on my YouTube channel right now. Yesterday, I did a reaction video to the Flash trailer. I only did it because I wanted to talk about Batman. Don't even care about the Flash, and obviously it's a very controversial movie. I would appreciate if you could check that out and subscribe to my channel, like this video, engage with it, leave a comment, all of those kind of things, because that helps the channel grow. It's one of the reasons I'm happy to go back to live streaming. Well, it was kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, you don't want much of this information, but just quickly. I had a real problem with my channel end of last year. If you know, you know. If you don't know, don't worry about it. Finally, it's balanced out, but it's not really back where it was. which is why I'm happy to take the risk. The reason we stopped doing these live streams is because they were affecting my on-demand views, and now my on-demand views, again, I'm fighting uphill here. So any engagement you can give me, I massively appreciate. Brute Force Wrestling says, what tips would you give aspiring wrestlers or wrestlers in training such as us? Now, I get asked this question a lot, and I'm going to imagine a lot of people listening to this have thought about being a wrestler, so I'm just going to tell you this. Here's my two-pronged approach for you. Now, there's people with far more experience than me, remember that. But just go and do it if you want to do it, right? Don't hold yourself back. You can do it. You can walk out your door right now and do whatever you want. You're in control of your destiny. You're in control of your fate. So remember, if you ever want to do something, you can absolutely just go and do it. Second of all, make sure you enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, you would have heard me talk about this a lot, but we're talking about it again. If you don't enjoy it, just stop. Stopping doesn't make you a failure. You're a success the moment you left your house in order to try in the first place. And the reason not enjoying it means is it's not for you. So you can sit down and you can cross that off the list, right? And you never have to worry about it again. You don't have to become an old person and think, oh, why didn't I try? Because you did try. And I massively respect you for that. And don't forget, there's loads of stuff you can do in wrestling. You can be a referee. You can be a commentator. You could be a booker. You could be an agent. Or you could be a music guy. You could write music, entrance themes. You could make gear. So always keep your options open. And if you just want to get involved in the industry, you absolutely can. But enjoy yourself. You know, we only get one of these lives as far as we know. So make sure you take advantage of that, I guess is the best way to put it. Ashley mentions, considering the pop he received at Riot Cabaret and subsequent performances during the 90s Battle Royal, how would you book Mr. Blobby going forward? Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this. I was very blessed to work Riot Cabaret, a London promotion, a couple of weeks ago, and they had a 90s Rumble. I was one of the surprises of Stone Cold Simon Miller. Had the best time in my life. It's the best pop I've ever got, completely shallow, nothing to do with me. And the last guy, if you're very British, was Mr. Blobby. It's absolutely hilarious. Genuinely made me laugh out loud. How would I block Mr. Blobby? Never. Look, Mr. Blobby scares the crap out of me. I'm just going to be honest with you. He scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. Scares the crap out of me now. So book him away from me. Actually, massive draw though. So maybe book him with me. As we are talking about my own wrestling journey as well, I also want to give a shout out to Sovereign Pro Wrestling. I had a match with Joe Connors there about a week ago. It was Sunday the 4th or 5th of February, whichever date it was. And amazingly, they put me in the main event. And I was like, what are you doing? But the reason it was so cool to me is because excuse my terms, right? But I'm only using terms that I know people, you know, my audience, you, will understand. It's one of those promotions where I had to put on a traditional indie match type main event, right? So violent and aggressive and doing the moves and the kickouts. And so many people have come up to me and said nice things. It was super duper validating. Because there is still a contingent, a very, very diminishing contingent, and it gets smaller every single day, of people that are all like, oh, the YouTuber can't wrestle. Like, I'm not a human being first and foremost. I have you know, I absolutely am. But be able to go out there and do that and get, again, I won't say from who, because I want to protect the business, but get very nice comments. And look, don't get me wrong, it's because I was in there with one of the best wrestlers in the country, right? That's what Joe Connors is. There's a reason he got to NXT. It didn't happen by fluke. But the fact that I was able to hold my own, yeah, it was really, really cool. So thank you, Sov Pro, for the faith in me. And as soon as I do have that match, we'll sit down and we'll go through it. And obviously I'll break as a human being because I'll hate it. But that's just the way. Okay, we're going to start wrapping up in a second, but we'll answer a few more questions first. So if you are in the chat and you definitely want your question answered, make sure you do a super chat and we'll get to those. Otherwise, we have got, what is your first ever match you watched that made you want to become a wrestling fan and wrestler until now? I don't know what the match was, but it was Bret Hart. So I suppose the first ever match I saw within my memory banks was Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. I still think that's a perfect wrestling match. I truly do. I think it's amazing. If you could choose any tag team partner, why would it be Chuck Norris? Not now. Not Chuck Norris now. He's too old. I'd have to carry him. I can't carry Chuck Norris. I choose Bryan Danielson because Bryan Danielson will make you look good. The Geek Box says, what is the hardest part of the ring? Have I got that shirt around? No. It's the ring apron. ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon. It's too much, isn't it? It's absolutely too much. Brownhausen says, what's your favorite mid-card pop? But he has the best one. I still think about Virgil getting Ted DiBiase. Yeah, SummerSlam 91, right? No, 92 was the UK. Yeah, SummerSlam 91. I loved that video when I was a kid. Virgil gets his. That's the answer. You smashed it. Or Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, also at SummerSlam 91. Goki has an interesting question. What do you do with Roman after he loses the titles? Don't know. Good. I don't know. I think he goes away for a while. He's absolutely going to go more part-time. He's absolutely going to try and crack Hollywood, and more power to him. Rock, Cena, Batista, amazing, doing great work. So I think he goes. I think the reason he's held the belts for so long is because when he does lose them, I'm not going to say it's the end of his tenure as the face of the company, because that's up to WWE and no one's going to turn that down. But it's when we start transitioning, which is why I think Cody Rhodes should win, because I think he should be the brand new face of the company. You know, he's late 30s, blah, 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 boring. But the bloodline probably disbands, or maybe it doesn't. It's a great question. Let me know your thoughts. I'd be intrigued to see what people thought. H wants to know how I would book the bloodline storyline to play out, which I guess is a bit different to what we have been talking about. No, it's not. I think that the tag team title match and the Cody match is the way to do it. So no, I would stick to what makes sense for this one. You need some tragedy in your life sometimes for you to be able to enjoy a different story more. Go read a Shakespeare book. So many of them end in tragedy. It's absolutely hilarious. And we'll do one more. Again, any questions in the chat, throw them in there now, and we'll do there too. I don't get this one. Yo, has anyone ever tried to tamper with your What Culture contract? I mean, who would tamper with it? Why? Why would they care? I don't think anybody would tamper with it. I still get that all the time. Like, Simon, why are you still with What Culture? Get to make dumb videos for a living. Why would I give that up? Look what I'm doing right now. It's preposterous. Kane does say, what would you do with Solo Sikoa if the bloodline breaks up? Just push him to the moon. 2024, I think Solo Sikoa should be a WWE champion or a Universal champion, if that is what we are going to call our championships. He's amazing. He's awesome. You don't make that transition from NXT, even with great booking, which he had, without having the goods. And he's got the goods. And here's how I'll leave you today, actually, as well, as we are fantasy booking everything. If Cody does indeed become the champion, and we need to break the belts up and we have a good old change, he keeps teasing that he's going to bring back the Wing Championship. I can see my Wing Championship right there. Now, it wasn't present, but even the person that bought that for me knew, if we're going to get Simon Miller one belt, we're buying him the Wing Championship. It's because it's a damn good belt. It makes me happy. Do it. He brought back that White Intercontinental Championship, the classic one. I need to see it with the Winged Eagle. We will see what happens. Right, on that note, my friends, I do apologize for the sound issues. I'll make sure that's fixed next time. Thank you so much for joining me on something we haven't done for a long old while. We're at least going to do one a week. I would like to do two. So if you do see that ping up in your inbox, please do come join me. If you are on the channel right now, if you could subscribe and like the video, that would rock too. Otherwise, look in the description. There's a bunch of other ways you can support the channel should you so wish. And go subscribe to the podcast feed too, because I promise that's going to have exclusive content as well. Been meaning to do this for a while. I will have finished my setup over there, hopefully within the next month. And it won't just be some bizarre big logo. It will look really cool. Hopefully that will help with the engagement. It will help you want to watch. My internet will be fixed then too, so everything will be rocking and rolling. One last shout out to Kane in the super chat, who wonderfully said, thank you, Simon, for tonight. It's currently 1 a.m. here. Love from Australia. So that's Iran and Australia. Honestly, people say to me, Miller, why are you so positive? This is why. People say nice things to me all the time. How could I not be a happy guy? I truly do appreciate you. And I just want to shout out Bad Dog Sports, who's in the chat as well. Man engages with every single one of my videos, and that means the world to me as well. So, of course, I will screw up the end of this stream because, I don't know what I'm doing. That's the problem. No, I do. It's just an absolutely crap setup. I will see you in the week. If I don't chat to you beforehand, because you don't check out the podcast, the audio version, make sure you enjoy Elimination Chamber. Remember, wrestling is meant to be fun. Doesn't matter if sometimes it disappoints you. You watch wrestling to get away from the craziness in your life as a distraction. Always keep that in your heart. Always keep that in your soul. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for joining me again. I'll see you very soon.